A day after dropping multiple big cases against big banks and fintech companies, the Trump administration is now moving to completely shut down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's Trump-appointed leadership plans to fire nearly all of its 1,700 employees while winding down the agency, according to testimony from employees. In a trove of statements released late Thursday, federal employees said that the mass layoff was discussed in meetings they attended this month with senior CFPB leaders and members of Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Through its relatively brief history, the CFPB helped 195 million Americans who were eligible for over 19.7 billion in relief through monetary compensation, principal reductions, canceled debts, and other consumer relief. The Bureau took on junk fees on ticket purchases, high interest rates, and overdraft fees from big banks, fintech startups that were screwing customers, student loan servicers who were using illegal debt collection tactics, and much more. And now, if the Trump administration proceeds, it's open season for corporations. An anonymous source described the plan to gut the agency to CNBC. My team was directed to assist with terminating the vast majority of CFPB employees as quickly as possible, said an employee identified as Alex Doe, a pseudonym used out of fear of retaliation. Doe said the plan from CFPB leaders and DOGE was to cut the Bureau's workforce in 3 phases. It would first eliminate probationary and term employees, then carry out a wave of about 1,200 layoffs, leaving a skeleton crew of a few hundred workers. Finally, the Bureau would reduce altogether within 60 to 90 days by terminating most of its remaining staff. But this also presents a conflict of interest for Elon Musk. In January, Musk's ex announced it had forged a deal with Visa to incorporate mobile payments on his social media platform. This service would be directly regulated by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under expanded oversight powers it had finalized late last year, allowing the agency to police things like privacy issues, fraud, and how disputed transactions are handled at mobile payment apps like Apple Pay, Google Wallet, PayPal, Cash App, and X's money service. Jank, I thought Trump was going to help the little guy. What's going on here?
That's a good one. Okay, so look, guys, for Trump's followers, they think that that's not a joke, right? They think, oh, he's going to bring down prices. Has that happened yet? No, it hasn't happened yet. And that he was going to look out for us and get to peace deals. Has that happened yet? It didn't look like we're getting to a peace deal in Ukraine from what happened earlier today, etc. But one thing that they said definitely wasn't going to happen was Project 2025. So that's what Trump said clearly, and by the way, some portions of MAGA said that they were against Project 2025. If you're curious why, by the way, because it came out of the Heritage Foundation, and the guy who wrote it was Russell Vaughn. And the Heritage Foundation is not a populist think tank, it's a corporate think tank. And it has come up with all sorts of corporate policies, always in favor of tax cuts for corporations, deregulation for corporations, tax cuts for the wealthy, etc. By the way, let's be honest, it also came up with Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act was originally hatched at the Heritage Foundation. It was a right-wing plan that Mitt Romney then instituted in Massachusetts, and then Obama instituted in the White House. Hey, look at that, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Anyways, so these corporate guys, we were assured, are not going to go into the administration. Except they did. Russell Vaughn is in an enormously important position at OMB, where he gets to basically, along with Elon Musk, control the budget. And guess what he's doing? Exactly what they outlined in Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation. Again, not a populist plan, a corporate plan. So what are some of the things that they've done? First thing they did was fire all the inspector generals, because DOGE, they claim, is the watchdog, right? It's going to come in, figure out what to cut, what's the waste, fraud, and abuse. But any smart person asks, yes, but who watches the watchers? Well, the inspector generals would watch. Oops, they fired them first. So then you get into the different cuts they've been making. Did they cut trillions of dollars like they promised? Nope. Did they cut the defense budget as they promised? No, actually, this week they announced their budget, and everything else is squirrels, distractions, squirrel, to get your attention. The budget is what matters because money talks. It's all about the money. That's your actual action, right? So what was their action plan for the Pentagon? Add $100 billion. What happened to cutting? Now we're adding $100 billion. And Hegseth says, no, we're gonna realign 50 billion of the, I guess, the extra. The other 50 extra billion doesn't get assigned, but we're gonna reassign 50 billion. Well, how's that a cut? That's not a cut. And see, I'll tell you ahead of time. And if you're in the right wing, you say, oh, no way, boo, you lefties, I don't believe you. And then go check, see what happens later. My guess is that a lot of that money is going to be reassigned to Palantir, run by Peter Thiel, who single-handedly created JD Vance's career by giving him about $15 million in campaign donations, and to Starlink and SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk. So no cuts at all, they added the Pentagon. I give you all of that because then the next step was the so-called big cuts, which are actually tiny. So, we're gonna cut all the agents, not all, but a lot of the agents at the IRS that are auditing the rich. But wait, that doesn't save money. You get back, at a bare minimum, the government gets back $6 for every dollar that it spends on auditors. So wait, you just cost us 6x over at the IRS. But the rich are protected, so don't worry. How is this populist? Have we gotten to populism yet? So then they go around cutting all these different departments that are what? Watchdogs of Wall Street and cryptocurrency. In fact, at the SEC, they move all the crypto guys away from crypto and into another area. And then now they've been doing crypto deals. We'll talk more about that in today's show and other shows. And then now you go to the CFPB that has gotten American consumers, undoubtedly, no one doubts this. It's not even close. It's a stone cold fact. And in fact, even some right-wing populists are like, but it's true. They got us back $20 billion. Again, if you cut the CFPB, we don't save money. We lose money. Consumers are gonna lose potentially another $20 billion. And where does that money go? CFPB is strictly to make sure that the banks are not ripping you off. Now they won't exist, and the banks are free to rip you off all they like. So this ain't populism. This is a corporate takeover of our government. And if you're pissed about Joe Biden's donors and the Democratic donors, you are 100% right. And now, if you think your donors are the good guys as they funnel all this money to themselves and end all the investigations of themselves and take away anyone who would protect you inside the US government, well, you got another thought coming to you. The donors on both sides are not interested in helping you. They're interested in helping themselves. Ramesh.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the Trump campaign was a rhetorical smokescreen, yet it articulated grievances without actually any solutions to any of those grievances because this administration is anti-worker, anti-consumer, anti-diversity on any level, of course, and pro-oligarchy. And that's very, very clear in the actions that this administration has taken. And this is actually really a statement about how politics and political messaging can overcome actual policy that makes a difference, right? Because if you look at the Biden administration, there was no coherent messaging whatsoever in relation to the actual good parts of the administration, which were Rohit Chopra and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Federal Trade Commission and Lina Khan, National Labor Relations Board. These were strong parts of the previous administration, yet somehow incoherently communicated as something that actually helped American people. And that's because, quite honestly, and you both have been talking about this forever, there's an incoherence between messaging in relation to what your donors want and what your now eroded and possibly dead base wants as well. So this gets to, I think, the big political issues, which is where is the coherent, charismatic response to this administration's brutality and assaults, full-on assaults on all of us. It's overwhelming, it's designed to be overwhelming, it's disorienting. We'll probably talk about this later, but I have my own ways of trying to deal with catharsis and all of this. But we know very clearly on many different levels, any cuts would be austerity measures that will attack and harm the most vulnerable of all of us, including many Trump supporters. So this was a smokescreen that has been pulled over many of our eyes, and a smokescreen is better than, not better, but is at least more coherent than an administration that had no coherence and had no ability to communicate whatsoever. And I'm talking about the Biden administration there. And so that's what we're facing here. And so forget about Biden now. Now it's time to figure out how we charismatically and coherently fight back.
Yeah. Your point about the lack of a coherent message is a strong one. And I think Democrats need to take a look in the mirror and think about how you want to message going into midterms, because Trump and his administration are giving you a gift on a silver platter. You can now go out and campaign on Trump. His actions are directly resulting in higher interest rates, higher overdraft fees, higher late fees, higher junk fees on airline tickets, higher fees on concert tickets. You have huge tours coming up this year. You can tie it to these things like the Oasis tour or the Sabrina Carpenter tour. These are gonna be major relevant pop culture events that you can tie your political messaging to, that people can see the direct impact of Trump's actions to their wallets. It would require them to take on Wall Street and corporations and special interests. Many of them, those C-suite executives or CEOs or investors, are donors to their campaigns. This is an opportunity to chart a totally new course for Democrats going into the next decade and beyond. If you are willing to challenge power, you can use this directly right now. As Cenk said, they're not doing anything about prices and they don't plan to. The Pepsi CEO is saying on CNBC, people are used to higher prices. Use that to your advantage.
Yeah, may I just add one thing, which is the Democrats have done such a poor job. Certainly since this administration has took over, it's been flat out embarrassing and it's been heartbreaking for me. But on top of it, they're doing such a poor job even articulating people's grievances. Look how poorly that was done during the Kamala Harris campaign. Oh, there's no problem, everything's just fine. I'm not gonna change anything from Biden. People are existentially angry about economic populist issues. And so Trump had some articulation around grievance, but Trump has repeatedly conflated economic health with stock market valuation. He can't help but do this. Who is going to expose him on this? Because it's obvious in actions, but even his own words about his economic proposals that he's going to do nothing for 99% of us.
Yeah, last quick thing I'll add is there needs to be a different wing of the Democratic Party, which let's see what happens. But this current establishment wing of the Democratic Party is never going to challenge him on any of these things effectively, because they have very similar donors. And Obama didn't want to establish the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Elizabeth Warren publicly embarrassed them until he did. And by the way, you should give Elizabeth Warren an enormous amount of credit for that. And I always have, and that's why I was much more supportive of her than other progressives in 2020, because I know that she got this through and she had to take on other Democrats to do it. So her wing of the party, her, Bernie, whoever else might be the populists, they are the ones who have to be ascendant. Because if you listen to the Schumers and the Jeffries and those guys, they're never going to fight back effectively because they believe in the donor class and not their voters. That's the problem. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.